Hi folks, we have a fantastic meal planned for this evening. And what's really cool about this dish is you're actually going to be cooking with the wine you're drinking. Come a little closer and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Steamed mussels. They are delightful and it's super simple to make. This is 4 pounds of mussels. Wherever you get the mussels from, they're probably already cleaned. If they're not, just take that sponge you have in the sink and get the sand and some of the stuff off the outside of the shell. That'll give you a chance to inspect the mussels too. So if there's some that are already wide open, get rid of those. You definitely don't want to have those. Then, as you're done cleaning those, you set them aside, put them in the fridge, let them chill down a little bit. You've got a pot, a decent sized pot, sitting on the stove, and you're going to have a little bit of olive oil in there, a knob of butter, chili flake, red chili flakes to taste. If you like it hot, put a bunch in there. If you don't, just put a few. Get that on low heat, let that kind of percolate and simmer together a little bit, maybe a minute or two. And while that's going on, you're going to take 6 cloves of garlic, thinly slice it. You're going to take 4 shallots, thinly slice those. When you're done, throw them in the pot, and you're going to mingle the garlic, the shallots, the olive oil, the butter, and the chili flakes together. And maybe 2 or 3 minutes later, they're going to get really fragrant. They're going to soften, and that's what you're looking for them just to get a little soft, not too much color, just a little bit of color. Then when you get to that point comes the fun part. You take these delightful mussels, dump them in the pot. You take 1.5 cups of wine. Again, the wine you're going to be cooking with is going to be the wine you're drinking. You've infused the flavor from the bottle in the dish, and it is a fantastic pairing. I don't know what cooking wine is. I've seen it in the store. If you're not going to drink it, don't cook with it because you wouldn't eat food you wouldn't cook with. It is that simple. So you've got the mussels and everything kind of mingling together here with the wine. You cover that pot, now you turn it up to high heat. Put the lid on, you're going to wait about 2 minutes. Then you're going to take the lid off, you're going to put in a healthy amount of parsley at that point. Going to kind of fold everything together and mingle it and get some of the mussels on the bottom back up to the top. Put that lid back on, still on high heat, 4, 5, maybe 6 minutes at the very most, and you're done. Take it off the heat, put it on the table, make sure you got some good crusty bread, and you're good to go. So let's talk a little bit more about what we cooked with, meaning the wine, not all the other ingredients, because we already covered that. But this beautiful bottle of Sauvignon Blanc from Luisa. So it just says Sauvignon on the label. Don't let that throw you off. That's just basically what the grape is called there. Sometimes dialect, sometimes nicknames get involved. Pinot Noir, you'll see it out there. Sometimes it's just referred to as Pinot. And this is kind of the same thing, same instance, if you will. This is a really beautiful expression of the varietal bottled by the Luisa family. And where this property is located is, if you kind of think about the boot that is Italy, when you kind of come up to this hook, the most northeast corner, that is Friuli. If you find Venice on the map, you're going to be a little further north of that. About that far on a map. Driving time, it's a lot longer. Anyway, what's important about the area is you have the Adriatic to the south and the Alps to the north. And this greatly influences the vines that grow here. Not just the vines, but pretty much anything that grows here. But it adds a unique expression to the wines that come from this area. They have terroir and they have very specific expressions. Having said all of that, if you like New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, you like Australian Sauvignon Blanc, New World being Argentina, South America in general, or here in the States, you're going to find a lot to enjoy here, but it's a different expression. To me, there's more weight, there's more stone fruit, it's even more aromatic. When you hear me use the term aromatic, that's what you smell out of the wine, which I know seems like a very kind of obvious thing to point out, but Sauvignon Blanc in particular, I can't think of many other grapes that are more expressive in the glass even before you take a sip. You can almost smell it from across the table, and that's a really good thing because it's going to make you hungry. What you get here with this Sauvignon Blanc is dried herbs, a little bit of that ocean air, almost kind of a saline to it, and then really lovely notes of like tomato leaf. And it's super savory, so you start to get hungrier and hungrier. Then on the palate, a good medium to almost fuller weight white, still very crisp and dry and refreshing, but there's lovely notes of white peach, apricot, a little lemon lime, and it's got a very long palate to it. It's focused. Long palate means after you've sipped it, it just keeps going and going, and that's a hallmark of a really well-made wine. When you pair it with seafood, which is probably one of the best pairings I can think of for Sauvignon Blanc, it really springs to life. And don't forget, you cooked with this wine, so you've already infused some of that flavor, and that's a great pairing to have. It's a really good experience if you haven't had it before. Highly recommend it. Anyway, let me tell you a little bit about the winery itself. So let me tell you a little bit about the people behind the wine. This is made by the Luisa family. And it's seen to by Michele and Davide, the two brothers, with the guidance of their father, Eddie. Their focus here is to create wines that are unique to where they are from, incredibly expressive, single varietal wines. They have other white wines here that are incredible. Friulano, Verduzzo, Ribolla Gialla, and these are all indigenous varietals to the area, and they are all lovely, well-made, worth your time. Friuli, if you haven't had a chance to explore it, try the whites first, because to me, I feel that's their leader. They do make dynamite red wines, but this is kind of close to my heart. Strongly recommend this. And I am really looking forward to pouring myself a glass of this and digging into the mussels and cutting a hunk of this crusty bread and getting to some of that broth that's at the bottom. To me, that's the best part. All right, so we have got what we're having for dinner tonight. We know what we're drinking, and remember, we cooked with the wine we're drinking, but we are missing one thing. If you've seen any of these videos, you know we need a musical accompaniment to it, or soundtrack, if you will. And I think somebody picked out something pretty great for us. My cameraman. I think you absolutely nailed it. So you can't really see who this is. It's an incredible band right here on the spine. Might even be even tricky to see it from there. It's a group that was put together in the late 90s of older Cuban jazz musicians and calypso musicians. And the best way to describe it, and that was kind of put together in the late 90s, the best way to describe it, it's sort of like Cuban jazz, but it's got a more slow kind of rhythmic tempo to it, and it gets stuck in your head. My mentor, Lorenzo, thank you, when I worked at a bistro years and years and years ago, had this on heavy rotation, and I couldn't get it out of my head, and it finally was re-released on vinyl. It is great dinner music. It makes you sound and feel more worldly than maybe you are, because I know that's what it does for me. But it's just also really good music. Doesn't matter who the audience is, who you have over for dinner, if it's just you, other people hanging out with you, they're going to enjoy this quite a bit. Again, if you don't have it on vinyl, no big deal. You feel free to stream it. I will tell you, on vinyl, it really comes to life. But take your pick. Every track is worthwhile. So just start it from track 1 and play it all the way through. And I think that's all we have for you. So stream it, drink it, eat it. Until next wine.